Good evening to everybody. Welcome to Top Rope Spoilers for WWE Payback coming up this Saturday. I'm Steve.
I'm Kia.
And this is On the Ring Apron, our third co-host or tri-host, whatever. Alyssa, unfortunately, a little under the weather this evening. She does have, unfortunately, she got COVID, so we're going to send our best wishes out to her. She's going to try to see if maybe she can join us in the live here a little bit later in hopes of being able to still throw her 2 cents in here and give her thoughts on the forthcoming pay-per-view coming up this Saturday on Peacock and WWE Network, anywhere else you go. You're probably going to hear Zorro jingling down below. He's got a new collar.
Yeah, the ringing kind.
Yeah, so we're not going to have any trouble hearing him whenever he's heading down the way. But for those of you that have been following our social media posts, we appreciate your patience as we worked our way to trying to make this happen. We've had a lot of things that have come up, a lot of things that have held up our scheduling a little bit. So it's unfortunate, but sometimes the nature of the beast when you've got multiple jobs, multiple kids, a lot of adults, a lot of different schedules, trying to manage to make it all work and understanding you only have X amount of time to get it all done in. But we appreciate everything, and let's go try to put on a good show.
Yep.
So if you haven't watched us before, essentially this is our prediction show. You see our scoreboard here for Season 4, which began at this previous WrestleMania and will carry on through WrestleMania 40 in April. Currently, Kia, after breaking that 3-way tie at SummerSlam, has back the lead all to herself with 39. Alyssa and the OTRAs, which are you guys, are at 37, and I'm kind of just I'm trying to beat the street sweepers in the back to end the race before they can clean up the road. But I'm sitting at 32. A little ways to go. We're only about halfway through the PLE year. Still a lot of matches, a lot of things still in front of us. But we're gonna see what we can do. And hey, I'm busting out my college football jersey, Roll Tide. Hey, starting up again this upcoming Saturday. She says something a little different.
Go Dogs.
Yeah. Hey, I got a chance to gloat for years, and now she's gotten 2 years in a row where she's gotten 2, and going for the 3, she says.
Yes.
But we'll see how it turns out. But anyway, this is our prediction show. For those of you that want to be a part of our community, of course, you can go to our YouTube page, just add On the Ring Apron, just like here on TikTok and on YouTube, depending upon where you're watching it. But go to our community page. All of the things are listed out where you can be able to select your matches. They go live as soon as the bell rings at the live event. And if your team gets it right, then you pick up an extra point and get an opportunity to see if the OTRAs can hang with us. I think, if I recall, last year Alyssa ended up edging out the OTRAs with the last match. I think Roman beating Cody, I think, was the difference.
Yeah, I think the OTRAs picked Cody and she ended up picking Roman.
It ended up being the difference, too. So, hey, good for her, but we'll see how it all pans out. But let's go ahead and get into it now that we've seen the scoreboard here. We'll go ahead and move into our first thing, which is not really a match, but kind of just something that's thrown on the board here. But that is the fact that at Payback there will be a very special edition of the Grayson Waller Effect. I don't think we're going to need the whole 6 minutes here, only because we're not going to, actually be potentially discussing a match per se. But it is interesting to see why it is that Cody would, want to be on the Grayson Waller Effect, considering that his rivalry with Brock is over, and it's kind of maybe an opportunity to see where Cody's heading next.
It's interesting to me because, he likes to come out, Cody likes to come out every Monday, or if they have him over there on SmackDown on Fridays, and he likes to talk to the people. So what better way to actually do this than talk to Grayson Waller?
Assuming Grayson will even let him talk. But, Grayson's been giving him his flowers and whatnot. He has been given the opportunity to be able to already have some huge names on there. He's had Charlotte Flair, he's had Bianca Belair, he's had John Cena, he's had, a number of people. I don't think that was an official show, but I know they were in the ring together. And an opportunity for him to be able to see it. He had Edge.
Yeah, I remember that one.
At one stage. So you're looking at, the fact that even at such an early time since his NXT call-up earlier this year, they really have not wasted any time putting Grayson Waller and giving him, I guess, his own rub in terms of making things, overly effective. And having someone like Cody Rhodes on a live event obviously signals something big is going to happen, whether it's going to be a big return or whether there's going to be an impromptu match between the two or something. But just, we're kind of just throwing out predictions here, and anybody who's watching on our live or you're following later on YouTube and watching for the first time, throw in your predictions at the bottom. But if you had to take a wild guess at what's going to project, if you could be Triple H in this instance and plan this out, what do you think's happening here? If you could throw out your prediction.
I feel like Grayson's going to... He might have given Cody his flowers in the past, but I feel like he's going to at some point step on his toes. Cody probably will be triggered at some point, and then a fight will ensue. I think Grayson will see that and kind of egg him on, and then there will be a match made out of it, like an impromptu match.
Do you think the two of them will face each other? Because we already know Cody will wrestle in the suit.
Yeah, he will.
Somehow I see this being I could see this being a setup for the Superstar Spectacle that's coming up in India.
Okay.
Where they're going to start running the tour in India in October. I know they've elected that starting tomorrow on SmackDown, John Cena is going to be back for the next 8 SmackDowns,
yes!
Which is going to kind of fill in that gap while Roman Reigns takes some time off, some well-deserved time off. Hashtag 3-year champ. Will you quit biting my toes down there? Cat down below. But without Roman being on there, you need something to kind of keep the line moving, keep the ratings going. And John Cena, the fact is, when he shows up, eyes are on TVs and and butts are in seats.
Love him, hate him, don't like him, like him.
It just he does what he does the best, and that is he represents WWE in the best of lights.
Yeah.
So I could see this being something like that, where I think Cody's going to kind of promote it as well. You maybe get a big return. You maybe get somebody that you weren't expecting that maybe could come out.
Like who? If you had to sit here and think about it.
Well, I'm trying to think. I mean, you're in Pittsburgh, so Kurt Angle's not a name that wouldn't be a shock to me because it's in his hometown.
Okay.
That's a possibility. You're setting it up where this is the last live event before football starts up, with the NFL. So, maybe something with the Steelers or, something like that. But, it's curious. But, anytime Cody's going to be on there, eyes are going to be on him. And Waller continues to reap the benefits of, having, Cody in there. So while there's no technical match here that we have to choose, the fact that they were willing to, to speak on that, hopefully, leads to something important.
Hopefully.
But let me go ahead and reset the clock here, and we'll go ahead and get to our first match here, and that is going to be for the United States Championship as the now new United States Champion, Rey Mysterio, who defeated Austin Theory a couple of weeks ago to win the United States title, will now give Theory his rematch at Payback for the U.S. title. Now, Theory had one of the longer runs that we've seen with any of our championships in the last couple of years. Sans, of course, Roman.
Yeah.
And I guess you could argue Gunther too.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're viewing this from the perspective that Rey Mysterio winning a championship, just like his son has won a singles championship down in NXT with the North American title.
Yeah.
And so now you're wondering, is this going to be the start of something? Between the two of them, is Rey just a kind of a sit-in champion right now? Obviously, he's already a Hall of Famer, only active Hall of Famer on the roster right now. And what, depending upon how you looked at it, Theory had, either a good run or a boring run, depending upon your point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think the long wind of this is that ultimately this is going to likely set up for something involving Santos Escobar and the rest of LWO. Because remember, it was Escobar that ultimately won the match to earn the title shot against Austin Theory. But then because Theory attacked him, Rey got the title shot in Escobar's place and won the championship.
Yeah.
And Santos has been, supportive every step of the way. But, deep down somewhere in the back, you got to think in his mind, that title's supposed to be mine. I'm supposed to be the one getting all the glory, all the things. But also, he's looked up to Rey his entire career. So, kind of curious to see if there's more to this story than just this match.
Do you think maybe deep down that they would have him do a heel turn?
Which one? Escobar?
Yeah.
That's where I think it's leaning.
You have to think, if the title's supposed to go to him, he got hurt. And now Rey has actually got the title. And every time, Rey comes out with it or he defends or whatever, it's like, okay, that was supposed to be me. That was supposed to be my spotlight. But, I got hurt, so I can't defend. So the next best person it's going to get to a point where at some point he's not going to like it, and he's going to at some point turn and do something that no one's expecting, and the group may not be expecting, or, you know, Zelina may not be expecting, or it could go him and the two guys that came up with him will see it coming, but Zelina and Ray may not, or Ray may not see it coming, you know.
Yeah, well, Ray's been on the wrong end of enough heel turns over his lifetime as really kind of the one of the few people that I'm not sure you can turn him heel, you know, but it is what it is. You ultimately look at someone like Rey Mysterio. I mean, he's done it all. You know, I mean, there's no feather left to put in his cap. Everything that could possibly be won, he has won. He's won every championship that's available, sans the Universal. You know, and you're looking at him, you know, just kind of putting the final stamp on what is already a Hall of Fame level career, while also trying to, you know, to boost up his son. Now Dominic able to go off and kind of, do his own thing with Judgment Day and with Rhea, and Ray's now kind of forging out, you know, the end of his career and using it to put over people. So it was kind of a shock to me that they put the title on Ray, because it feels like it wasn't something that was needed, but also you feel like it was a much needed change-up, because you looked at, you know, the two titles on Monday Night Raw where you had Seth Rollins and you had Gunther, who, I mean, are just telling story after story after story with their titles, and even, you know, Roman, Bloodline, etc., you know, taking the Universal title well, but the U.S. title almost reached a point where it kind of got a little stale, and it needed something to kind of spark up that storyline. I don't know if Rey Mysterio is ultimately going to be the right answer or the long-term answer, but it's the route they're choosing to go right now. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, I mean, obviously we knew Theory was going to get a rematch at some stage, but, you know, we pointed to exactly where it is. So, as I said, you know, go to the community page, put in your votes. You have the opportunity to be able to do so all the way until the bell rings for this match on Saturday before it becomes official. Even though Alyssa can't join us tonight, we do have our selections here, so we will present her picks at the time that she would normally choose. We do go in the order of choices, so because Kia, you are in the lead, you'll get to select first on this one.
Ugh, such a tough job. I feel like Theory's gonna go into this. He's gonna go into this like angry, furious, mad that he lost the title that supposedly belonged to him. He don't have it no more, and then have to go up against Ray, the one that I believe took it off of him. He's going to be like, that's gonna either A, fuel his fire, or it's going to be his downfall. And if it fuels him, then he'll get it back. But if it's his downfall, then he's going to get upset, emotional, unstable, and that's going to give Ray his end to be able to just go ahead and go for the 1-2, you know, do what you got to do, and you retain your title. But if I have to make a pick, I would say I'm going to pick Ray to stick with it. I think he's going to retain. I think he's not going to need the help, but in some way his support system going to be there. And I can't say the same for Theory.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was going to say, Theory's made a lot of enemies backstage, and even though he'll team with Grayson Waller tomorrow night on SmackDown, I really feel like that's kind of
forced.
You know, well, more of a, you know, our enemy, your enemy of my enemy is a friend, you know, etc. So I'm not sure that's necessarily a match made in heaven, just kind of, you know, we're both fighting the same battle. Alyssa would normally pick next. She has center pick in. She's also taking Rey Mysterio to retain. Feeling like, you know, he's in the right place, right time, and it's not a moment to where Theory needs to do so. I'm also going to go Ray as well. I do feel like that this is ultimately leading to Mysterio and Escobar having their rivalry with each other. So I do feel like that's the pathway that this one's going to head. So that brings us to now match number 2. And this one has been one that's going to be fun on the mic, and I hope it's just as much fun in the ring, no pun intended, as two of the biggest mouths in the game, I guess, are now going to have an opportunity to be able to go head-to-head as easily the hottest ticket in WWE right now in L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
Well, Alyssa's not here to do it, so.
I'm sorry.
We're going to need a little more enthusiasm next time. We'll see if we can get one more. But he'll take on the A-lister, The Miz, in a singles match between two people from different respective brands. Miz, of course, representing Monday Night Raw. LA Knight is on SmackDown, but each have accepted an invitation to come to the other person's show. an opportunity to talk to each other. And really at this stage, it's been for the most part Knight really getting over on The Miz for, a majority of their back and forths. The crowd obviously he is like nuclear level fire heat right now in terms of, how hot the crowd gets for him.
Yeah.
He's easily the most over person, maybe outside of Jey Uso, in the company right now. And even that's debatable.
Actually, I would say he would be going up against Seth, because you have to think, if you can get the crowd to do what you want without even having, all you have to do is step out there. That's all you have to do.
And the crowd will do the rest.
Like, the crowd sings Seth's song, the crowd sings his song, the crowd uses his saying.
That's a good, valid point.
So I feel like it's Seth, LA Knight, and, Jay or whatever.
Well, pushing the the WWE Universe really since his match with the late, now late Bray Wyatt, our condolences to his family. If you haven't checked out my plate exchange from yesterday, be sure to go take a look at that. There's very, I think, a loving tribute in there. But Knight really got pushed, and, even before Bray's passing, the WWE Universe almost demanding a push for LA Knight. And, as we've seen in multiple storylines throughout the years, The Miz not okay with the spotlight not being on him. He feels that he's paid his dues. He's earned his time. He, of course, likes to hang his hat on the only 2-time Grand Slam champion through both eras, which is, that's a fact.
That's like, you have to think, I can see why he is like that, because you have to think, his upbringing and where he came from, people always doubted him and what he could do and how he was and who he was and everything else. Also, you have to think, I've seen him from the start of his career, like, before he was a wrestler all the way up to now. But LA Knight, I can see it too. LA Knight has got, like, this fire behind him. He's got this energy, and he's doing it with, like, self-confidence. That's pretty much what you see in The Miz. So I feel like they're mirroring each other.
Well, you see so many people that, are using the term, bet on yourself, wager on yourself, and you're seeing... people you watched as Johnny Gargano ran an entire, story on that. You're looking at people like, Mercedes Moné and Trinity, each going out to respective brands. Will you stop clawing my leg down there?
Going out to their respective
on their things, and they wagered on themselves, and it's worked. Mm-hmm. Trinity over there is the, Impact Knockouts champion right now. Moné has won a championship in New Japan, now possibly eyeballing AEW. So, it'll be interesting to see how they go. But Knight's another one of those people. But also The Miz kind of doing the same thing, and he's been doing it for close to 15 years now, where he bet on himself. He had a chance to be the social media, the big reality TV star, and instead he chose to go into something he loved, but knew he was going to have to work at. Because we all knew he was a master on the mic. He was a master in front of a camera, still is to this day. But he was going to have to show that he belonged in the ring, and this existed in a time when the celebrity was really kind of looked the other way, like, you don't belong here. And Miz had to earn his spot in that locker room. We've, of course, heard about him dressing in public bathrooms, and in coat closets and other things at the beginning. So, he feels like, Knight is kind of, putting the cart before the horse in terms of he has earned his accolades without putting forth, the resume to back it up. And I think that's what all this stems from, because Knight seems to get over so easily, and The Miz has had to fight for it all.
But from the perspective of where The Miz is coming from, I see it. He's had to work for everything. He's had to get everything. He's had the support of Maurice and the support of himself. And, you have to understand, when you have yourself and your wife backing you, there's nothing that you can't do. And from his perspective, LA Knight's just come in, and it's just, people use his saying, they say what they say, and he's not having to put in any effort. But in reality, I feel like LA Knight in his own way is putting in that own effort for people to see him, notice him, but he's doing it with his own... I can't think of a good word for it, but when I do, I'll come back to it. But I feel
Gusto.
like... Yeah, exactly. There you go.
So, it's curious to see, which one of them is going to be able to kind of prove their mettle here, because obviously they're both well experienced, so now they're finally going to, put the metal to the pavement, and we'll see what happens. Normally Alyssa would go first here. She's made her selection already. She is taking LA Knight to win this match. Feels like Knight is the, just the hotter hand right now in terms of being able to continue things forward. I would go next. I'm actually going to flip the other way. I'm going to go The Miz. The only reason I'm going with The Miz is because I don't think this is going to be the last time. I don't think this is going to be a one-off. I think you could see this carrying further on. I could see them maybe captaining their respective Survivor Series team or something.
Wow.
But I don't think it's like that. But typically when you get a potential 2 out of 3, usually the heel takes the opener. And I think he could cheat his way to a win. So I'm I'm behind. I need to make up a point somewhere. So I'm gonna go with The Miz.
I was actually thinking the same thing. I feel like in some way, some fashion, he's going to be out there. He's going to fight. He's going to be fighting, and then somewhere, out of nowhere, Maurice is going to show up and is going to assist him by giving him something or handing him something, and that's going to help him, get the advantage that he needs to win the match. So I'm going to go ahead and pull for The Miz.
Okay. Well, I expect the OTRAs are probably going to go with LA Knight on this one. It's tough to pick on some of these, but I feel like this one's going to probably be solidly in Knight's corner. But hey, that's why you still got to go put in the votes. You never know what might happen. Let's see if maybe I have enough influence and you have enough influence to carry them to vote for The Miz. But I don't know if we have that much power. Let's move into match 3. Bitter rivalry between two of the GOAT women of this company, both past and present, finally concluding their series as Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus will finally settle their differences for the final, probably the final time, and it will be inside of a steel cage. Ironically, Trish's first cage match ever of her career. I was not aware that she had never actually appeared in a cage match, but they made a very big deal. She appeared in her first ladder match, earlier this year. So Trish getting a chance to kind of get a few of those last check marks, off of that already Hall of Fame resume. But of course, this one goes back all the way to just after WrestleMania. Becky Lynch, of course, was tag team champions with Lita at the time. Mm-hmm. Trish in their corner. Lita ultimately taking an injury that ended up being caused by Trish, and then Trish ultimately costing them the tag titles, then turning on Becky after. Trish does have a single victory over Becky Lynch at, I believe it was Money in the Bank, where ultimately, it was a little bit of side work and a little bit of backdoor, but ultimately she ended up getting the victory, and has really since tried to duck Becky at every turn in terms of giving her a legitimate rematch. You brought in Zoe Stark.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And Zoe's done well. I think they put her with somebody that has given her a good feel up, in terms of being able to promote her to the main roster coming up from NXT.
I honestly feel like, again, and I know I say it every show, and I know we hear it every show, you have to understand, my past meeting my future. This, for me, how they say you get your dream matches? Well, here's my other dream match.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if you rewind us back maybe 3 years ago, I don't think anyone believes this match ever happens. I think the fact that we got Becky and, even before she was, kind of universally pushed out the door, Ronda Rousey coming in, but, she got so many dream matches. She got the match with Sasha. She got the match with Charlotte and Becky and, so many others. But I think this was definitely one that fit on a lot of places in terms of ultimately, Becky and Trish really getting a chance to have that one-upsmanship over each other, because Trish has always identified herself as the GOAT of women's wrestling. It's arguable, of course, because a lot of folks could say any of the horsewomen. Charlotte has the accolade, Natalya has the lineage. But Trish is the one that kind of, her and Lita are the ones that paved the road. They crawled so everyone else could walk. Yeah. So it's dependent upon how you feel, and if you feel that way, hey, hashtag thank you, Trish. Shameless shout out, just like a shameless shout out to McDonald's, who, I would love for us to sponsor us. McDonald's, please give us free stuff. Sweet tea, I love it. But you look at someone like Becky, who kind of, for the most part, has kind of fallen back a little bit since she lost the championship and had to sit out a little bit to Bianca last year. But then, you're starting to see her kind of get her confidence back. Her man persona is back in full-fledged again. And it's curious to see where it's going. The nice rub even from NXT down there with Tiffany Stratton, mentioning, that Becky's never won the title. And Becky very quickly to answer that, so you wonder if maybe a return to NXT maybe could happen.
I feel like Tiffy Tuesday just kind of opened up her mouth for something to happen. happen. So I feel like if she says it's a high possibility, but also understanding you're right. Piggybacking off of you, Becky is coming back more of her man when the man comes around, so forth, so on. And I feel like honestly, she's coming back. She's got the leather, she's got the fishnets, and she's got the boldness and the fierceness. And I'm loving it because, like you said, she kind of took us a couple of steps back after losing the title last year to Bianca. But seeing what I see, I feel like with all respects, I'm not really. I mean, like, I love Trish, I really do, but I'm not really feeling what she's doing because I feel like honestly, she is not fighting to her potential. I feel like she's doing more. She's running instead of trying to fight. Becky is trying to fight you head on, face to face. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no questions about it. I feel like you're not giving her the fight that she wants, and I feel like this is why she keeps coming at you until Becky gets that fight. She will not leave you alone.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly what this has been about, because ever since she got the one victory over Becky, Trish has been like, I have nothing left to prove. I don't need to face you again. And anytime she has finally been pushed into a match between her and Zoe, they found a way to be able to slink their way out of it. And now all of a sudden you're going to put them in a steel cage where Trish has nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Nope. And
now you're going to finally give Becky the match that she's been wanting.
And I feel like this is kind of an disadvantage to Trish because she has never been in one. But this is more of an advantage to Becky, who, again, let's even go back like a couple of years back where, she took that hard-hitting punch from Nia Jax and she literally was fighting on instinct and didn't remember it. But let's even go to right now. I feel like that's the Becky we're going to see, the one that she's going to be fighting, but she's going to be all there this time. It's not going to be just instinct. It's going to be hot fire, like red hot fire, pure blood. She's going to go for the gusto, and I feel like being in a steel cage, to put someone like Becky in a steel cage, that's probably not the best thing for Trish. But at this point now, Becky's getting the fight that she wants, and Trish can't run. Because that's been her MO for the last couple of weeks, that she's been running, or she'll hide behind Zoe, or she'll make Zoe do her dirty work. And at this point, it's like one-on-one. You've got to fight your own battle. You've got to get it done.
Right. So let's move into the picks here. I would go first in this one. I do think this is going to be their last one of the run. I do feel like you got to get Becky the win here. Becky's the one that's still going to be around, whether she's on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, wherever she ends up going. If she decides she's going to go down to go for the one title she's never had,
I'm hoping for that.
It'd be a good boost to NXT's ratings for sure. But at this point, Trish has her win. She's going to get her steel cage match, to check that off her Hall of Fame resume. But Becky needs the W here. So I think I'm going with Becky.
All right. This is going to go one of two ways. And I keep sitting here and I say it every single time these two have a match on a PLE, I feel like at some point, Lita's going to come out of nowhere and is going to show up and is either going to side with one of the women. But I feel like, honestly, long story short, again, disadvantage to Trish, advantage to Becky. I feel like Becky's going to use all that advantage to help her, and she's going to pull out the win. She's going to take the win, and she's going to go for it. So I feel like Becky will be my pick. It's nothing against Trish, because I really do respect and love her, but
yeah, this has been one that's been fun because it's two of our faves. Alyssa's also going with Becky Lynch as well in this one as well. I think she feels like this is the one where she needs to have the up and over. So, and of course, it's going to be a handicap match. Zoe's going to get involved in some way, even with it being in a steel cage. So, but Becky proved on Raw that she can be able to handle a situation like that. So we'll see how it pans out. Moving to our, I guess technically it's our fourth match, but our fifth segment. So let me reset the clock here. But this is another championship match, and this one a little bit different in terms of a special stipulation on this one, as this is for the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles in what will be called a Steel City Street Fight. Steel City, Pittsburgh, but Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens finally having enough of the Judgment Day, finally having enough of the constant interruptions around them, somehow no matter how many times that they seemingly get the upper hand over Judgment Day. They keep coming back. I think there's a cockroach reference in there somewhere. But, also you're seeing, potential cracks in Judgment Day, as it seems like Finn Balor and Mr. Money in the Bank, Damian Priest, are unable to...
They're not seeing eye to eye.
Exactly, and they're not able to to maintain that same page. Finn's lost a couple of matches due to some slip-ups and some miscommunications between him and Damian. Rhea's trying to keep the group together and whatnot, but ultimately, she's finally just like, look, and even made it clear, if everyone in Judgment Day does not have gold at the end of Saturday, there are going to be some changes. And of course, Damian holding Money in the Bank, that gives him an extra opportunity. But for Finn, this is the only shot he's got at winning some gold this upcoming weekend. And to do so, you're going to have to take out a team that really has dominated the tag team division, short of the couple of weeks in which Kevin Owens was injured. Of course, Owens and Sami winning the championships off the Usos, ending their 500-plus day run as champions at Mania, and have represented the titles well since. However, they may be facing their toughest challenge as a Judgment Day that now is backed into a corner, really is going to be the team that they're going to end up facing here. Also, of course, with Rhea having a match, later on the PLE, you would expect that Rhea would not be readily available, so you maybe only have Dominic to be able to potentially assist. Cody Rhodes has shown that he'll stand in Sami and Kevin's corner. How does JD McDonough fit into all of this? So there's a lot of different directions we can go. So with that, take over.
I feel like I'm going to sit here. I know I'm saying it, but when it comes to Rhea, she is literally doing everything in her power to keep her group together. I feel like let me go ahead and just put it out there for you. I feel like she kind of runs this group. This is her group.
Oh yeah.
It may have started where it was edges.
Mommy wants.
And it may have
Mommy
started
gets.
at edges. It may have kind of rolled over to Finn. But at the end of the day, we clearly see who's running the whole group, who's with who in each segment. I need Finn and I need Priest to get on the same page. You can argue off screen, off camera, when nobody is there. You can argue at that point. But to do it in front of everybody, everybody can see your cracks, they can see your faults, they know you're falling apart. And it's only a matter of time before one or both of you turn on each other, and then it's not going to be a good thing. But the fact is, Sami and Kevin are they're paying attention. They're paying attention. They see everything. They take note on everything. If Kevin doesn't have it, Sami will, so forth and so on. And the fact you can only do so much for this one group. And you have to think, on the other side, you have long-time best friends who have traveled together, been together, rode together, everything together. They've done everything together. So at this point, there is that chemistry between Sami and Kevin Owens. I can't say the same for Finn and Priest, and that's kind of sad because the way the group came together was excellent. But in all retrospect, I feel like there's a struggle, and they keep pointing the finger at JD McDonough, but honestly, I think I don't think he's trying to come in the middle. I think JD, in his mind, is trying to help and trying to assist where he can, but you understand, him and Finn are close and they're friends, so that's where that kind of is falling off, is where, you don't have your family's back and this and that, and it's you got his back, but you don't have our back, but we have your back. And is it really, do y'all have Finn's back, or y'all just saying that you do? Because I feel like Rhea has his back. I feel like Dom has his back. I feel like Priest is saying something totally different than what he really is feeling.
Well, Rhea also, stating very clearly, like, you're making the group look weak. We dominated WWE, and we ran every show for weeks, even months. But now, all of a sudden, they're like, Finn couldn't beat a paper bag. Damian can't win the big one when it matters. And as a result, you've now got people taking shots at Rhea because they're thinking that because her focus is divided, now all of a sudden she's vulnerable. And now you've seen people like Candice LeRae, and you've seen people like Mia Yim, and you've seen people like Indy Hartwell, and of course Raquel Rodriguez, coming up, and they've been willing to take their shots now because they feel like Rhea's attention is divided. So she wants Judgment Day to get on the same page here, and I mean, there'd be no greater way to do so than to win the Undisputed Tag Team titles off of one of the more popular teams over the last couple of months. So it'll be curious to see, if Finn and ultimately Damian can be able to get on the same page long enough. We know individually the talent level is there. We know they're all capable of being able to win matches of this caliber. But the question is, can they do it against an established team that's also holding the advantage of the gold? Add in the street fight stipulation, which allows Dominic, JD, Cody, whoever gets involved, weapons, anything goes. So no excuses this time. So that moves us to our picks, and we've circled back around. So Kia, you will open things up.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and put it like this: as much as I love Judgment Day, as much as I love Finn and I like Priest, I cannot, with all good faith, pick them. I can't. So I'm going to hop to the other side where there's chemistry and there's friendship and there's whatever you know, I know. So I'm picking the team of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Because Sami.
And I was going to ask you, are you picking them because you trust Sami and Kevin, or are you picking them because you don't trust Judgment Day to be able to hold it together?
They're not going to be able to hold it together. It doesn't matter if you have Dom. It doesn't matter if you have JD. I feel like Sami and Kevin, all they really need is each other and depending on each other and what could happen in the ring. You have to think there's that chemistry that, if you have that chemistry, you're going to be fine. The other team doesn't have it. That's why I'm picking Sami.
Understood.
And Kevin.
Yes, make sure you get them both in there.
I'm sorry, that is so...
Alyssa throwing her picks in here as well because she would normally be up next. She's taking KO and Sami to retain as well.
Okay.
I'll stand alone on this one. I'm actually going to take Judgment Day. First of all, I was never really a huge fan of them beating the Usos to start with. I have an idea of, why they did it, and I understand why the move was made because Sami was very much over. The storyline needed to happen in order to start creating the cracks in the bloodline. But, at this stage, you're now looking at a group that about the time they start getting to their dominant level, you're starting to now start putting in the seeds of doubt. So it concerns me that, you could start making it a point, especially now when, rubber hits the road, that now you're going to have to win or, you may be out of Judgment Day. And whether that's done by choice or by necessity, is up to them. But that's why I think they'll be one, especially with the street fight mentality in here. I think this is the perfect opportunity to be able to do so. So I'm actually going to call the upset here. I'm going to go Judgment Day.
All right, and the other reason I made my pick is because you have to think all the crap that Roman put Sami through, and he lived that, and all the crap that Roman has put Kevin Owens through, and all the crap that they have bounced back from. They are literally going to bounce back from this too. So I don't think there's nothing that Judgment Day, Finn, or Priest can do that's going to affect them. Okay, you're going to throw it out, it's fine. We're going to throw it right back. It's going to be a lot harder. So go for it. Let's see what you got.
Good point. All right, we move to our final two. So we'll hit our co-main event. And that is going to be for the Women's World Championship. Speaking of Judgment Day, because now we're going to get an opportunity to talk about Mommy here for a little bit more, as Rhea Ripley will defend her WWE Women's World Championship against Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel ultimately feels like Rhea is the reason why her and Liv lost the tag team championships after, of course, the breakup of Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey, leading to their rivalry at SummerSlam and that god-awful match that they ended up having. Let's just pretend like that one never happened, like the original Mario's movie. Not the new one, but the one back in the 80s.
What are you talking about?
Exactly. But ultimately, Raquel and Liv, kind of getting a little too close to Judgment Day business, at least in Rhea's opinion, and ultimately Rhea taking offense to it each time they would step in. Ultimately, I think the storyline was expected to lead to Liv being the one who was going to get this shot originally, but of course taking a rather significant injury, and she's going to be on the shelf for several months, probably through at least the end of this year. So you have to speed things up a little bit, and now you're moving Raquel Rodriguez, running the story of her being injured for several weeks to build up to this match so you didn't have to use it on just a standard Raw or a standard SmackDown. Now, these two, of course, do have some history because it was Raquel Rodriguez who ultimately was the one who stopped Rhea's run originally down in NXT, along with people like Charlotte Flair and Io Sky, Io Shirai at the time. But Raquel and Rhea have had their share of rivalries. It is argued by most that maybe with Bianca Belair being the only exception, that Raquel is really the only one that could match or maybe even better Rhea in terms of overall strength and size.
Yeah.
So Rhea, as dominant as she has been with seeing her defeat people like Natalya, Liv Morgan, Zelina Vega so easily, she's definitely met her match when it comes to overall strength, which means Rhea's going to have to find another way in order to be able to do so other than just relying on the brute strength behind her.
I feel like she's going to have to find another level. She's going to have to up her game tenfold. I mean, I'm not saying that what she has and her arsenal's not good enough. But I feel like, and let's hope that this whole Judgment Day and the like separation is not going to separate her mind in this match, because I feel like that could, if that match goes before hers, then she's, instead of focusing on herself, she's going to be focusing on what's going on, how to fix that.
That's really an interesting point, because the order of the matches could definitely affect either of those matches, including the tag team match earlier in the night.
But I also, first of all, like to say I'm glad that we have Raquel back. I am so excited for, honestly, this match and her recovery, and I'm wishing Liv all the best in her recovery. But it is what it is. Can we go ahead and state on the record, I'm loving Rhea's hair? So yeah. So either way, I don't know.
All the TikToks or the emos and the lesbians, the bisexuals, you know, just all about Rhea. Like, look, there's not a gay bone in my body, but if I was, Rhea Ripley. Like, I don't think that's what she intended to do. I just think that's just how it has turned out, you know. But sometimes you find yourself, you know, being able to be a part of a face of a community without even really realizing you're doing it until you have become so ingrained as part of it. But in all retrospect, you talk about, you know, Rhea's hair, you talk about Rhea's, you know, overall new appearance from the blonde bombshell that we've been used to seeing the last several years. You now see her, and it's like she's gained even more of a following now, because now you're seeing people who are willing to maybe embrace that darker side of, you know, their personality, maybe embrace that, more of that emo side, you know, that maybe they were a little frightened to point out. And then on the same lines, you look at someone like Raquel Rodriguez, who, you know, has had to deal with the fact of, oh, she's all strength, she's all muscles. That's not what a woman's supposed to be. And has had to fight that stereotype her entire life, and yet makes it look good at the same time. So both of these women are doing fantastic at doing that.
They really are. And there's not, I think for me, getting to see the match, I'm excited for it. I want to see what they're going to, I want to see how they're going to one-up each other, how they're going to bring their game, who's going to hit harder, faster, who's going to be stronger, who's going to be tougher. And honestly, who's going to walk away with the title?
Well, this is going to be your definitely, outside of probably, of course, the street fight, this is your smash mouth match of the night.
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, who's going to be ultimately your better competitor. But in this one, for the first time, because there's been a lot of people who have questioned Rhea's title run up to this point because of the people she's faced, because she's had the strength advantage and the size advantage over virtually every single person that she has gone up against. I mean, you look at Zelina Vega when they faced each other at Backlash. Granted, Zelina had the home crowd, but, I mean, that was equivalently a glorified squash. I mean, Rhea was never truly in any danger of losing that match. You know, Liv really didn't have much of a chance. Natalia's been, you know, jobbed a few times. So Rhea, you know, a lot of people are wondering, like, is she focusing too much on Judgment Day and not enough on her title reign? And now she's going to have to come full circle on this. So moving to our selections, normally Alyssa would go first here, but she is going to select Rhea Ripley to retain in this match. I think that she's just hot behind, you know, Rhea continuing her run, in that just, you know, the storyline of Raquel coming back from injury just seems a little too early in terms of Rhea losing it. May not be the last time we see these two face each other, but it seems to make sense to me. I'm also going to go Rhea to retain as well. I do think that Rhea's run doesn't potentially end until you start moving into areas like Survivor Series, maybe even into Royal Rumble, and of course possibly Mania. But I think Rhea's run continues here. I think you need to give her a win over a big powerhouse like Raquel. And don't get me wrong, this is going to be a good one. But I do think Rhea retains.
All right, so I'm going to jump ship.
Ooh.
And I'm going to pick Raquel.
Is the Texas in you coming out?
Hook 'em horns.
Not next week though.
No. Anyway, I'm picking Raquel. I feel like she's come back. I feel like she's stronger than ever. She looks better than ever. I feel like she's going to do her homework. She's going to do the research that she needs to. And if she hasn't already done it, I feel like she's going to take Rhea off her game. She's going to throw something at her. And it's not like physically throw something at her, but she's going to throw some type of something to distract her to take that title off of her. So I feel like let's just go for the upset.
All right, hey, you got to pick one in somewhere. You know, you should throw an upset in there every now and then. So that's definitely a trendy pick, but we'll see. It's a bold move, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off. One to go. We'll see if we go. Oh, hang on, I'm getting a little notification here from Alyssa.
stating Rhea needs the bigger win. She needs the win to keep her run credible. And you know what? That makes complete sense in terms of the fact that she wants to, make it to where she's ultimately going to have the opportunity to be able to present exactly the kind of champion she's going to be. She's focused a lot on Judgment Day. And so, this would be a lot better in her soothing voice, but unfortunately her voice is very low at the moment. So we're definitely welcoming her coming back here soon and hope she gets better. Let's move to our main event. And that is, first of all, may I note that this is the first live event in a couple of years that hasn't had one Bloodline member involved in anything. Now, granted, we still have a SmackDown to go tomorrow, so I don't think they'll throw Jimmy and Jay that quickly, but my heart hurts a little there, exactly. But our main event is, first of all, a very large picture that I didn't size properly, apparently. So let's move that back over here. There we go. There we go. And this is for the World Heavyweight Championship on Monday Night Raw, as Seth freaking Rollins, bad back and all, will defend against the artist Shinsuke Nakamura. I can tell you're ready.
What can you say? This match is going to be, it's going to be awesome. Let's just take the words right out.
Elite.
It's going to be excellent. Look, you've got Seth, who literally, with all respect in the world, everybody else outside of Roman, who would have thought two of the 3 Shield members would be carrying this business on their shoulder?
I believed it 10 years ago.
First of all, that's why Roman had to go take his ass a break. Excuse my language.
And that's why Seth's got a bad back, because the two of them have been carrying the damn company for the last 3 years.
One's been carrying SmackDown, one's been carrying Raw. They come to each other's shows and they
heavy company.
They really, I mean, what can you say? But then you bad back in all respects. Seth has literally been doing this for the last 2 years, knowing that he's had a bad back, bad injuries, and he is making it look good. You don't ever hear no complaints. You don't ever hear no, oh, I'm hurting. You don't ever hear that or see that. You come out and you see him dressed to the nines in whatever he's going to be wearing. You see his hair is either done straight down or it's done in a bun. It's just, there's no pain or there's nothing on his face that is telling you, ouch, I'm injured. So I love that in a champion, and for, to come out and not have to say nothing, and everybody's, singing your song or humming your song or whatever, that is great. But now to have Shinsuke just come out of not really nowhere and is literally hasn't told everybody, let you tell everybody, that you have a bad back, but he's like, I know your secret. And the way that he did it was, for me, I felt like that was intimidating.
I think that you're getting an opportunity to see the Shinsuke Nakamura that existed in New Japan prior to him coming over to WWE all those years ago. Nakamura believes in a certain wrestler's code, and the storyline that they're running with him here, and I'm not sure it's so much it is. I think it may have something to do with a little bit of Japanese heritage and whatnot. But he believes in the idea that if a champion is injured, you are holding back the company and you are holding back the championship by continuing to fight if you cannot fight at 100%. Your back is broken. You know it's broken. You know you're hurt. You know you need surgery. You know you need time away. And as a result, you are doing your company, you are doing that championship, you are doing everything here a disservice by not giving up the championship and giving it to someone who can defend it 100%. And Nakamura has taken umbrage in the fact that has happened, and as a result is saying, look, and he gave Seth every opportunity, but of course, that same unwritten rule of the locker room is if you are injured and someone's injured in your locker room, you don't talk about it, even if you know it, unless they talk about it first. And Shinsuke's viewpoint was, I'm going to tell them, but I'm going to give you every opportunity to tell them first. And ultimately, Seth wasn't going to, but then Shinsuke did, because he's like, if you won't follow the code, I will make you follow the code.
Yeah.
So Shinsuke is not just taking this from the idea that he deserves to be the champion, but also is taking this personally, saying that Seth is making a mockery and a joke of everything that this business and this industry stands for. And so Nakamura feels like it is his job not just to win the World Heavyweight Championship, but also to fully remove Seth Rollins from the picture. And since he won't do it on his own respectfully and properly, Nakamura has gone as far as to say, your wife, I'm going to be the reason why your wife will know I'm the reason that you have to be helped out of bed. Your child will know that I'm the reason why he can't pick you up and play with you when he wants to. Because you would not go do the right thing. And if you won't, I'll make you.
First of all, I get the feeling that nobody is learning this lesson. Every wrestler, man or woman, you do not talk about their family in any regard. I don't care who you are or what you've done.
Well, every time they bring Becky up, it tends to end poorly for whoever it is that ends up on the wrong end of Seth.
It really does.
I'm gonna go ask Baron Corbin.
The fact that he made it out was barely. But the fact is, you don't bring up a man's wife or his children or anything that's of value to him, because you will end up on the wrong side of the road. You will not be able to cross back to the other side. And the fact that you had the cojones to even mention Becky and mention Rue, no.
And the reality is, they're basing this off of a true storyline because, Seth's back is really hurt.
I know.
That is legit in terms of the fact that it's been hurt, and it's been hurt for a while, and yet the company still felt that he was the right person to be able to put that championship lineage. And, Seth's the company guy. He always has been, in terms of, I'm going to put my best foot forward, and yeah, I'm hurt, and yeah, I'm not feeling good, but I love this business. I love what I do. And therefore, I'm willing to, to put myself through a ton of pain to do so. But he also, has made it very clear that, he needs surgery. He's been putting it off for quite some time now. But, he lost a Mania a couple of years ago because of an injury. He didn't want to lose that again. And ultimately, he's now facing down the idea and staring down the possibility that if he doesn't go get this surgery soon, that he could possibly be in line to miss another Mania again. So, I do feel like his time as the World Heavyweight Champion is running low. The only question is Nakamura going to be the guy to do it, or will it be somebody else? We move to our selections here. I do pick first in this one. This is one where it's like it's heart versus head because they are lining up Shinsuke Nakamura to win this match, and they are lining him up to do so. And yet, if it is anybody other than Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, or Seth Rollins, this would be a slam dunk pick for me to take Nakamura. And yet, those are the three names in this company, probably Charlotte Flair being the only one on the women's side, that it doesn't matter if the odds are stacked against you. It doesn't matter if everything in the storyline says you should lose. They somehow will still put them over. Personally, to me, I see this as the perfect opportunity for a Damian cash-in. I could see Rollins narrowly retaining, which is going to be my official selection here. I do think that ultimately Nakamura is going to accomplish the goal of hurting Seth to the point to where he can't keep going. I think Damian is ultimately going to walk out as the World Heavyweight Champion, not Nakamura. But this is one where even though I'm going to take Seth Rollins because I have been burned enough times by picking against him, so I'm not going to do it here. I will not be hurt, and my feelings will not be hurt if they do not let a heel Shinsuke Nakamura win this championship. As many times as people have been teed off from years ago about him not beating AJ Styles when he first turned heel, and now you're giving him a great push here against Seth, this is the perfect time to do so. So I'm not going to be upset if they put it on Nakamura, but I will take Seth to retain.
Wow. So with that being said, I love Seth, but I also love Nakamura. I'm going to have to pick Seth because the last time I picked Nakamura, I got burned, and that doesn't say that in the standings, but everybody knows. I'm going to pick Seth. You talked about my wife. You've talked about my child. You've talked about my injury, and you've talked about this title. I'm not letting you get near my wife. I'm not letting you get near my child, and I'd be damned if I'm letting you get near my title that I've worked so hard for. So no, Seth will walk away again with that title in hand, back, hunched over, or he might be on the ground and the priest might take it from him. So I don't know, but I'm picking Seth.
Right. I was going to say ultimately it's who takes this match, whatnot. Alyssa's pick in on this one as well. She's also taking Seth Rollins to retain. Her reasons be what they are, whether she believes Damian cashes in
That's
or
it.
not. But I think her viewpoint, and she's over there going,
She's riding the Seth
she's riding that
train
Seth train
until the
many
wheels
times-
fall off.
Until the wheels fall off, because God forbid her and I got burned enough times in that rivalry with Cody Rhodes last year.
Not me.
So we are not falling for this one again.
Not me. He didn't get burned.
So we're going Seth across the board here.
I just want to see what this man wears to the ring. I want to see what they both wear.
The crowd's going to have a great time with this one.
I'm going to have a field day. Let's get it, because Seth has worn Ronald McDonald shoes, devil horns, and everything else in between.
But so with that, it does bring it officially an end to our show. I'm going to bring up the scoreboard one more time here, just so that way you can be able to, everyone to be able to enjoy it as to where we stand. And I do want to conclude this episode here, because we've got a couple of minutes here before we hit the our usual 1 hour timeline, because Lord knows no matter how hard we try, we can't stay under an hour. But I had an opportunity during Plate Exchange. If you haven't seen it, it's on TikTok, it's on YouTube, it's up. Are you good?
Yeah. You didn't have to call me out. Keep
And
talking.
yet I did.
You right. Thank you. It's so embarrassing. Go on.
Anyway, an opportunity to be able to, to state my piece about the passing of Bray Wyatt. I had a chance throughout the entire episode to be able to say my piece while we were exchanging the plates. So I'm actually going to, again, send condolences to families. But I wanted to open the floor up to you, Kia, and, Alyssa, if you want to try to walk over here, mask and all, and, talk real softly into the camera, you can. If not, we'll present your thoughts, when you can talk. But I want to open the floor up to you, Kia, for anything you might have on that matter.
So I don't really want to say too much, because, it is what it is. It's I feel like it should be an in-house, in-family thing, and I know the company is technically family to him, but his actual family needs to keep that, where it is. But I do want to send my condolences to the family and to the children and to JoJo and everything else. He literally, and everybody has stated it, from Becky to Seth to Braun to Karrion, everybody in between has stated Bray, or how do you pronounce her actual name? Wyndham has literally made an impact in their lives, and for his life to be taken the way it was, it's devastating. If anything, it's heartbreaking, to see what he created in the ring, and also to see what he created outside of the ring too. So with that being said, I'm going to, send my well wishes and condolences to the family and to all the wrestlers who actually, love him dearly, and that will be it.
He had such an impact on ours, and I don't really think we truly, it's sad because of the fact that you truly don't appreciate some things until they're not with you anymore, or that person's not with you. And I didn't realize just how much of Bray we have brought into our home over the years, not just the cosplay, but the belts, the merchandise, the accessories, the memories, the live event, stuff, things like that have all, been a part of it. And that's something that I didn't realize just how much of an impact he had. If you haven't gone on WWE's YouTube page, they have like a nearly 40-minute tribute video where they just have almost the entire roster sitting there giving tribute to Bray Wyatt, Samantha Irving with a wonderful rendition of He's Got the Whole World in His Hands at the very end. And just bring your tissues. That's all I'm going to say if you haven't seen it yet, but it's worth the watch. With that, that's our top rope spoilers. Steve,
Kia,
and Alyssa, we hope she, send your well wishes, hope she feels better soon. She'll be able to join us on the next one. But with that, you guys enjoy, Payback this Saturday, along with, the return of college football and everything else. Roll Tide.
Go Dogs.
There we go. And we will catch you guys later on. So
on the flip
take it
side.
easy.